Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Superficial. We are chiropractors and functional medicine practitioners at Synapse Center for Health and Healing, located in Eagan, Minnesota. Information shared in this podcast is not intended to diagnose or treat any medical conditions. Please consult with a primary care provider before engaging in any new activity or protocol. With that in mind, let's dive into this episode.
This is Beyond the Superficial from Synapse Center for Health and Healing. My name is Dr. Amber Janetsky. I'm joined here by two beautiful doctors. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I'm Dr. Ashley, chiropractor and functional med here.
I am Dr. Katie, chiropractor and functional medicine provider.
Yeah, so today we are starting and kind of kicking off some series of just bettering daily habits. And we just want everyone to join in, invite your friends. This week we're going to start with drinking water. Just easy, simple things that we can do to better our health. And we're going to talk a little bit about what good water is and how much to take. And it's going to be pretty simple. But that's what we want to make it. We want to make it pretty simple and easy to understand, easy to make that life change so we can make some gains in our health, okay? So we'll just dive right in and we'll talk about the first question here. So why is water important to our health? Why do we need proper hydration? Well, one, it's important for so many cellular mechanisms crossing enzymes and different waste products in and out of the cells. So we need that good water. It's what temperature regulation, helping eliminate toxins from the body. What do you guys have to say?
I was going to say immune support. Like right now we've got so many people that are sick, and so if you are vomiting, if you have looser stools, you're losing a lot of water. If you're constantly blowing your nose, you're losing a lot of water too, and so hydration is really important for your immune system to kind of move the toxins through, hydrate your cells, but then also like to thin your mucus too if you're really congested. So immune support for sure. I would say digestion. Some of my patients trend towards like constipation, have a hard time with the bowel movement. Sometimes it's dehydration. So hydration will help kind of push nutrients through, help with absorption. So kind of two big things I would say, immune support and then digestion.
Yeah, I know Dr. Troy has this on our website, I believe, just a video of the immune system not being able to actually get to the area of infection because there's not enough blood and fluid because of dehydration. So just to kind of piggyback on the immune system support idea.
Yeah, I always think of it as just balancing the pH of our blood too. Because if we can push hydration with electrolytes and water, that's going to create a healthier pH balance in terms of getting our blood a little bit more basic, just so cancers and inflammation, infection just can't survive as well in that acidic environment. And kind of going back to the detox thing too, that's where my brain first went to, is how do we detox? We pee, and we need to pee by drinking water. As Dr. Rakowski always said, solution to pollution is dilution. So just pushing that water and urination.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would be some things that leads to dehydration?
First thing that comes to mind is the food you eat. So a lot of my patients on keto or carnivore right now are needing electrolytes because they're not eating a lot of the carb foods, and those typically have more water in them. So might depend on the foods you're eating. I would also say athletics, and if you're working out a lot or you're sweating. So if you live somewhere warm, you're outside, you're sweating a lot, you're exercising, whatever it is, I would say those are two things that come to mind.
One thing that I think of is just ignoring the thirst cue.
Yeah.
Because I know during my workday, I get going and I don't have time. I keep going, and I haven't drank any water all day. So that would be one thing that would lead to some dehydration.
Yeah. And two, just replacing the minerals too. So if you're doing reverse osmosis, or you can get dehydrated technically too, just not getting the minerals, because then if you don't have minerals in the water, you're not pushing it into the cell either.
Yep. So what factors lead into how much water someone needs?
I would say age and body weight. And then also what your goals are too. I think we just briefly talked about detoxing. I think about if people use our ozone detox sauna here, the Hocket, we tell them, we give that instruction paperwork up front and say you need to drink this much water because you're losing a lot of water weight. So, I mean, if someone is super active, I think we were just also talking about like elderly people or older patients. Sometimes you will miss that thirst cue. It's kind of the same as the hunger cue, and so they might not drink as much water. And so maybe that would increase their intake. They'll need a little bit more.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is just, how active you are, and also your environment that you're living in, how much is evaporating. But again, a lot of that is just so regulated between the signals between the brain and the kidneys. And so the water being lost and the sodium that's being kept or lost is so regulated that I would say it's difficult to get there. But if you're out in the desert and you don't have any water, you're hiking, and you didn't bring enough water, I mean, those are some big things that obviously put you into some dangerous situations.
Yeah. I don't think I have much to add.
Yeah.
I always think about like the foods that are like in season or the things that you crave, and you think about like obviously in the summertime it's warmer, you're outside more, you're sweating more.
Yeah.
You think about we're always eating like cucumbers and watermelon,
And craving
like,
it.
Those are the things that are
Yeah.
higher in water too. So it's just interesting if you think about that.
Yep. Yeah, your body knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went through a time too where this summer too I was really craving apples. Now they're not so great.
That's why you listen to your body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not as appealing right now, but this summer definitely was.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what are some ways to tell if you might not be getting enough water?
I think the two that came to mind right away was, your dark urine. So if your pee is too dark, that's an easy one. Urine should be just very light yellow. If not, maybe on that clearer side too.
I'm just going to jump in here because I would like to clarify. This is like the pee coming out. It's not the pee in the toilet, because the amount of fluid that's in the toilet is going to vary from what toilet you're on. And so it has to be looking at it.
I had to tell a patient this one time. Yes.
So it's kind of like a myth or debunking that. So it has to look at if you were actually going to collect your urine, what does it look like?
Yeah.
Then it tells you something.
Yes.
But even that, like the concentration, I mean, your body is smart. It's going to concentrate. It's going to keep what it needs. But yeah, it's something that can be a sign.
Yeah. Or else the skin pinch test too. It should.
Yes.
Once you pinch the back of your skin, it should go down right away. So if it's anything more than 2 seconds, you're dehydrated.
I don't know how scientific this is. I look at the veins on my hands, and if I can't see them, which I can't right now, that typically tells me I'm dehydrated.
That could be, yeah.
But if I see them and they're pretty vascular, usually I'm dehydrated. I don't know. I don't know how scientific that is. But
No, I know it does. It makes sense though, because I know in the summer I used to work in college at a bug lab, and we would work outside all day long. And after one of those days, I had to go get a blood draw, and there was no getting any blood from me, because my vessels, like you just said, just probably were just sucked in.
Yeah.
One sign that I don't know how scientific this is, but is after you eat a meal, like lunch, if you're getting really tired and brain fog, well, all of your blood and fluid is going to not all, but a lot of it is going into your digestive system for digestion. And so that might be a sign too, is if your blood levels aren't full enough, you might get more of that brain fog and more of that fatigue after eating. Also, if your lips get dry, that's another big sign. I mean, it's kind of a connection to your inside organs. That could be a sign that you need to get some water for sure.
I think of a couple, like if you have caffeine, coffee, and then you become more tired after, that typically tells you you're actually dehydrated. I will say if you have like muscle cramps, or even I had a patient yesterday we met with, and she was having a lot of swelling in her legs. We looked through her labs, and she's actually very deficient in electrolytes. And so I said, if you have that sodium potassium pump, and so if you are low in sodium, you're actually going to hold more water, and so you're going to swell a little bit. So it almost seems counterintuitive. So we got her on electrolytes, and the swelling almost went away. So I would say those are a couple ones. Muscle cramps too seems like, and then like brain fog.
Yeah, brain
I think
fog.
some people will also get headaches if they're dehydrated.
Yeah.
So.
And kind of back on like the testing thing, how we look at hydration levels too is through the BIA. So when someone comes in for usually an exam or we're updating things, we just look at that intracellular water weight and total body fluids. So some people, like if they are missing those like thirst cues, or some people are just like number people and want to go. So like we're talking about, if people want that, usually half your ideal body weight in ounces. I say ideal just because if someone is 100 pounds overweight, kind of look at
don't
that
need that
number.
much water.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
true. Yep.
So that's why I say ideal body weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a couple of other ways in the blood test that we look at too. Just looking at your red blood cells, those electrolytes. If the blood is concentrated, they're going to look a little bit higher on blood labs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one article I was looking at talked about if you're taking in less than 1.8 liters in a 24 hours, so that's about 60 to 80 ounces. If you're taking less than that, that can be a risk factor of getting dehydrated. So it's, it's not a crazy amount of water, but that's just a typical like bare minimum number. And so that's where why we talk about the half your body weight in ounces in general. But
yeah, I think we're kind of just talking about like listening to the cues though too. I mean, I generally tell my patients just drink water every time you eat. That seems like a general indicator, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, snacks, whatever it is, rather than feeling like you have to chug water all day long.
Yeah.
Again, you kind of have to listen to your brain. If you're thirsty, there's probably a reason for it. I don't know, sometimes people say water doesn't taste good, and it makes me wonder, maybe you're actually hydrated and you don't really need that extra water. Exactly, that too. Yeah.
Along that lines, what were you saying? Oh, listen to your signal. I had a thought on that. I lost it though. But just a little story too. So I've always been on that, our body's brilliant and it knows. So as ballet dancers, our Russian instructors honestly would say, don't drink water, drink coffee, smoke cigarettes. And that was back when it was really toxic and not good for body image. And thank God it's changing so much. But we were never really super focused on, as athletes, drinking a ton of water. And none of us keeled over and died. But when we were thirsty, definitely there were times when we'd be rehearsing that it would be a need to guzzle some water. But I think that's kind of what clued me into all this big water craze of drinking so much water is like, do we really need to? That's what I was going to say is that some studies have shown like you don't absorb more than like 8 ounces of water in an hour, so taking, and also at a time, you're not gonna, if you guzzle a glass of water, you're gonna pee it out. You're not gonna absorb it. And so that sipping or just drinking throughout the day is really the key. And so that's another point to make sure you're not just guzzling it. So
I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on this. I had someone one time tell me with stomach acid, a lot of patients are deficient in stomach acid, and they were saying don't drink water after a meal if you take like an HCl or digestive complete because it's going to deplete your stomach acid, dilute it. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, in Chinese medicine too, I mean, that's one recommendation is don't drink water when you're eating because it will dilute that stomach acid. But it's still a good time to, drink some or finding ways to get it in at different times of the day on a periodic schedule.
Kind of same thoughts.
Depends on the person, I think.
How you do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good. All right. So let's go on to the next question. So what are some tips to optimize hydration?
For me, like I always have to drink out of either a glass or stainless steel, or mostly glass, honestly, because I don't know if it's my brain or whatever, but if it's like a shaker bottle or I swear I can just like taste the plastic.
Absolutely.
So I have to drink out of glass. I have my
true.
stainless steel one, which isn't as bad. But yeah, that's how I get my water intake. Because if it's in anything else, I'm like, ugh, I don't want to drink that.
People, I think everyone has those big Stanleys right now, and you laugh because they're so big, but I mean, that has saved me, like, at work or wherever I am, because I don't want to bring 6 water bottles to work, so if I have a big one, it lasts me for longer, I can refill it. For me, I love coffee in the morning, but obviously in the morning, you're the most dehydrated after that stint of sleeping without drinking, so I always try to have electrolytes. I now add them into my coffee. And I had a couple patients do this too, and they were like, that gave me the best energy ever. So having it in the morning, it gives your brain a little bit of energy. So I would say focusing on hydration in the morning, and then, having some water before coffee too, because that's going to dehydrate you. So
yeah, sure. Making it that you like it. If you want to use an infusion, like what is it called, infusion?
Yeah, like the
infusion.
Yeah.
You put a little fruit in the water and let it soak. cucumbers, things that make it so you like it. I know I'm not a huge fan of water either, but the quality of the water matters so much. I know that I like it cold.
Me too.
I'm sure there's differences in how you absorb cold versus warm. But I do a lot better getting more in when I have it cold. I do add electrolytes. There's flavor enhancers or water enhancers. You just have to watch out for the artificial sweeteners and the toxins in those. Food dyes, but if you go to a health food store, there's some with good like monk fruit options. That's another way to make it a little bit easier to get some of that water in.
Yeah, even like a pinch of like some sort of like mineral salt.
I was just gonna say you can make your own electrolytes
Yeah.
at home.
You don't need a ton.
Yeah.
Like pinch up
Yeah.
to like 1/4 teaspoon. I've been doing more of like a potassium derived electrolyte drink with some lemon in it, and my body just really seems to prefer that. So I've been feeling really good on that one, and I just crave it more than like my regular like element drinks right now too. Like,
What brand do you use?
the my potassium one, the Zeta Aid.
Oh, yeah.
Dr.
You
Josh,
told me about that.
Dr. Josh has this on the Zeta bandwagon right now, and I'm loving it. My HRV on my watch has shot way up after being on Zeta Aid, the potassium.
I need to try that.
Or not.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and I'm not a super big fan either of like super high sodium electrolyte mixes, because there's some out there. Again, unless you're running marathons and you're really depleting this, I just don't think we need it, and I don't think it's a good thing. Again, it doesn't make sense, right? Like in nature, we don't just take a ton of this in at once.
Well, there's more than one electrolyte too.
Right.
So
Yeah, and your palate like lets you know, kind of depending on what your palate is craving. If you're like, oh, that is too salty, you probably don't need it. But like usually after depleting your electrolytes, your palate is gonna be like craving more salt, and it won't be as strong to you. So same thing with like that innate intelligence that we just have.
I think people
Well, no.
said like I'm not telling people to drink Gatorade because I don't like the artificial colors and sweeteners, but I think if you're dehydrated it tastes salty, and then if you're hydrated Gatorade tastes sweet or something like that.
Yeah.
So again
Kind of
it's
same
like
thing. Yeah.
kind of your brain. You're very smart. So your body knows what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, a nice natural one is just coconut water. And I tell people just do half water and half coconut water even as a way to get some good natural electrolytes too. There's also black water, which has humic and fulvic acids in it. It's another way to get some good natural electrolytes and help you detox too. So
My favorite is in the summer. I love watermelon. I sprinkle a little bit of Himalayan pink salt on it. I promise it doesn't taste salty. It almost enhances the flavor. It's so good. So
and you mean
sometimes
just eat it?
Yeah, just
Okay.
eat it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that, or even cucumbers with a little bit of salt.
Yeah.
You don't have to add the salt, but
No, then you get the
it
natural.
enhances the flavor.
It's probably
So
got the humic and fulvic acids just from
I know.
eating that, you know? So yeah.
yeah.
Where do you get that black water?
Online.
Just online?
BLK.com.
Yeah.
I believe.
I always wanted to try it.
Interesting.
Amazon has it, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. But I mean, comes in plastic bottles, but you know.
Dump it out.
It's one thing. All right. So, does quality of water matter? And how do you know if your water is up to par?
I was just talking with Dr. Josh about this, but he's been doing water testing, like testing the parts per million. And I looked that you can get one on Amazon. It's just a total dissolved solids like water test, so you can test the parts per million in your water. Because anything drinkable is technically anything under 500, but you want that pretty low. For instance, distilled water is 0. And then you want to be drinking, from what I understand, anything under 10, Dr. Josh said. So I'm going to buy a water filter, because apparently his Berkey and his parents' Berkey is like 250, which is still pretty high.
I remember him saying that about the Berkey.
Yeah, so I'm curious to test mine. My water filters need to be changed or something. But then in terms of like heavy metals or checking for all that other stuff, we talked about it before, but watercheck.com. just a good one to check water quality.
Yeah, they have different testing
Yeah.
options that you can pick. So if you know what's in your area even, like if you live around where the 3M plant was and you want to know, they can help you out picking out which test kit might look for some of those forever chemicals.
Yeah, like well water. I think they have a special kit for well water
Yeah.
versus city water.
The parts per million, parts per million,
Yeah,
right?
parts per
That's
million.
a little confusing to me because it doesn't really tell you what is in the water either.
Yeah.
So it could be good stuff
Mm-hmm.
too. I mean, I just had my water tested and it actually increased in the parts per million after my filtration.
Oh, interesting.
So there's just something from the charcoal filter probably getting in. And so yeah, it can be a little confusing with that too. So, and then water filtration systems, do you guys have an opinion?
Reverse osmosis seems to be.
Yeah. I feel like it tastes the best too. I don't know. I think water all tastes different. It probably depends on the quality, but
Yeah. And we all know it does remove the minerals, so they have a remineralizing step,
Mm-hmm.
but all that does is it puts calcium, magnesium. Those are, in my understanding, is just basic those two that get put back in, but it's good to at least have that put back in.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and sometimes like when we do like in the iodine loading test, we can add on other halides, chloride, bromide, fluoride, just to check if there's any sort of like toxicity coming in through the water, through fluoride or chloride, or the two top ones. I've seen a high bromide one recently, just with some fuel byproduct toxicity I saw, but always good to maybe get some of that testing done too, just to see if you're getting too much somewhere.
now the water can get even crazier, just like the energy of the water as well. I haven't dived too much into this, but there are systems that you can get to actually put the energy back into it. Some people will say just stirring your water, setting it out and letting the sun or the moon hit it. That just mimics what the going through the rivers and the streams does to the water and puts that energy back into it.
interesting.
Yeah, it gets, and
Sounds
so there's
kinda cool.
books, there's research on it. But yeah, it's something that I would like to dive in a little bit more too, but so you can even do that to enhance your water.
Yeah,
Put it on, let the moon hit it, stir it.
Crazy water.
Yeah. That's next level.
Full moon water.
They're going to market that now.
Honestly.
All right. Let's see. Any other questions here? Any other tips or takeaways that we haven't talked about as far as getting some good, healthy water?
Gosh, I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, I think we
did.
got it.
Yeah.
So our challenge for you this week is really to drink water. And so just as a blanket statement, it depends on your circumstances, of course. Always talk to your medical doctor or your functional medicine practitioner if you have any health concerns. But in general, we're just asking people to drink more water and shoot for that half body weight in ounces per day. Filter your water and try a little remineralization and just take note on how that makes you feel. Just that, just for a week, just have that as the focus. And we're just going to kind of touch bases with that. So we're just going to we're going to do it. We'll make some posts on our Facebook page and other social media pages and chime in and let us know how it goes. And then next week, I believe we're talking about sleep. Is that?
I think so.
I think it's sleep next week.
Sweet.
So
That'd be a
we're
good
going to
one.
have some goals and some things to set out for trying to make some healthy habits with sleep next week. So thank you for joining us. See you next time.
That concludes today's episode of Beyond the Superficial. Thank you for joining us and stay tuned for more episodes. For more information, please visit our website, www.officialsynapse.com, your partners in healthy living for optimal life. We would love to hear from you on how our podcast might be impacting your life. We also want to hear what interests you. Please leave your feedback on our media page at www.officialsynapse.com. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.